Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The roar that you hear is the roar of Group A cars taking the track at Laguna Seca for the finale of the FIA GT Championship. Good evening, everybody. My name is Eike Sky, and you are in for an absolute treat tonight. Two classes, the Group A's that are on track at the moment, clearing away the puddles from this sodden Laguna Seca racetrack. The Audi of Trip already up at the Corkscrew. Will this wet weather play into the hands of the Audi driver? You've got to ask the question. Meanwhile, I remain ill. So if there are any extended periods of silence, that is me either gasping for breath, coughing, sneezing, or taking a drink before my throat completely closes up. Again, as we did with Japan yesterday, I blame the weather. Tripp comes across the line for his first timed lap. We have a slightly smaller grid than usual. Oh, hang on, are they getting a lap already? That seems wrong. Chuck Scone has gone faster than Andrex in the what promises to be interesting. Hang on. Because I did promise Andrex that on his second lap I would put it in the in his view, so that we can appreciate just how much work he's doing behind the wheel. And from this low down angle, it really does put in to perspective the amount of work that's being done on that steering wheel. And the lack of traction, wheel spin. Trying to get it turned into the corkscrew, and it's just not having any of it. Piling down the hill, slightly slower than the GT3 cars we've seen before this year. It's very difficult to commentate with when we're in this camera view, because every single corner seems like a prayer to the gods as to whether you're gonna actually make it out alive or not. Andrex UK momentarily up to second place in that very, very wayward Ford. One of the heaviest turbocharged cars in the field as well, so yes, about that much. It's just incredible car control from Andrex. He's driving in a straight line, just controlling on the throttle. Let's jump to bonnet cam for a second, just to. This is the one that will show it the most. As he turns into the corner, you can tell from the lag he's already super sideways. 5 minutes left of this session. Again, massively sideways coming up the hill towards the corkscrew again. Really is a key feature of this track. Now under braking, trying desperately to get the car to do what he wants it to do. Massive kick of oversteer on the outrun, and a drift that the JDM boys would be proud of. Coming down the hill. And a little bit too far, and that's going to be his luck entirely run out. And that is just how difficult this car is to drive. How is Tripp? Tripp is struggling with pit entry, it looks like. No, pit exit then. And Howie He's going for another lap, but I don't think that's going to be... There's a Mayborn in the BMW, who last time out was an absolute monster. Taking it all the way to the much, much bigger cars. Sitting third on the grid at the moment. I don't know how many people are going to... Oh, how he's got a massive kick of oversteer, and that's going to be to the inside wall for him. He's only qualifying, so a return to the a return to the pits will give him the repairs that he needs. Meanwhile, Mayborn still circulating. Andrex, it seems, is still out on track, burning up those rear wet tyres. If we really wanted to tease him, we'd say just jump on slicks for a couple of laps. TPW and Chuck's Gun have exited the pits. Oh, and TPW getting a massive front lockup going down into turn 1. 3 minutes remaining for these Group A cars. Some fantastic discipline being shown by everyone concerned. That BMW just absolutely loves to go sideways, given any opportunity. But the difference between that and the Ford is that it has the handling to be able to cope with it. Let's jump on with Mayborn. Coming up through turn 6, if I remember correctly. Sideways already back on the throttle, but there's not that amount of turbo lag that the Ford has, so it's so much more responsive that you can actually control it on the throttle without losing time. Coming over the crest much later than the Ford, braking into the Corkscrew. And just so much easier to get the throttle on early. And now, coming down the hill, the back end wants to overtake the front, but Apex can absolutely hold it in that slide. Again, not losing any time. This is exactly how you're supposed to drive this BMW E30. Braking at the... I think that was a 200-yard marker. Makes sense if it is. Coming out across the line. This track's still soaking wet. And second, 3/10, best part of 3/10 back from trip. And when you bear in mind the four-wheel drive traction of the Audi, you have to consider that Mayborn may be on for a repeat of his escapades last time out at Oschersleben. Still circulating, 1 minute 28 to go. So he has got time for another lap, and he might possibly be pushing a second time lap. Andrex UK and Sierra, meanwhile, still circulating like a brave madman. Enormously sideways, and that's through turn 3. Good grief. Backing it into the corner. Chris Harris would be proud. Again, I think that's just the way you have to drive these cars. There's so little downforce. You're relying on mechanical grip, and when the track is as wet as it is, it doesn't matter what you do with the suspension. You're not going to have any grip. 20 seconds remaining, and then the Group A, the GT1 cars will be exiting the pits to come out onto the track. I think that may be the end of the run. Oh no, that was just a stall. That's fine. So Andrex is going to get it back round to the pits. And Howie has finished his lap. That will be a 3rd place for the Mercedes. TPW still circulating. Trying to improve his position. I wish we had split times to be able to show you, but that's not a thing. Oh, big old lock-up coming into that final hairpin. And out. Across the line, is he going to surpass Andrex? It looks like no. That's the end of it. And now, bring on the thunder. Oh, or the turbo overrun of the monstrous GT1s. Laguna Seca sticking with his British heritage in his driving at least, and jumping on to the McLaren GT1. Behind him, Mad Dog, one of the Panos which have really come on strong later on in this season. Down into the Corkscrew, a lot more tentative than we saw the Group A's being. There's a lot more power at their disposal, but they rely a lot more on aero to these GT1 cars. Second place in the championship confirmed for Marauder, coming over to start his time lap. To finish his first time lap, good grief, they were right on the money. So that will be a 1 minute 52. And Marauder doing what Andrex did previously. And a comment made up of entirely sarcasm, it seems, from Andrex UK in the stream. We witnessed your car control again, mate. You make all of us very jealous. Nah, Marauder's just out on the warm-up. I can well believe that the tyres take quite a while to get up to temperature. Alan Rake has come across the line. They're all in the pits. Woohoo! First to set a representative time, Alex Gerhan in the Mercedes. Now, does that mean that the Mercedes is getting its tyres up to temperature quicker? Or does it mean... And here comes Marauder on the second lap. Second for the time being, but entirely reasonable. Entirely reasonable times coming through here. They don't want to push too hard, otherwise they're going to be throwing away lap after lap after lap. They just need to wind up. So the Panos is relying entirely on chassis coordination, basically, to communicate to the drivers what the car's doing. It's a miracle that they're keeping that in a straight line. It really is. A testament to how good the Panos is then. As we currently have Mercedes in first, is he going to improve across the line this time? That will be a negative. Mad Dog has now, well, half the field have displaced Marauder as he comes across the lap for the start-finish time for a third time and goes a second faster. 1:25.079 for Marauder. If only he had done this last time out. But it is not over until the Fat Lady sings, and the Fat Lady still has 5 minutes plus before she even begins to warm up her vocal cords. I sincerely wish that we had the split times for these cars, because I would love to see who is on a fast one. Alice Gahan just been displaced. Can't do anything to answer the pace of that panels. And it is the panels pace, because Mad Dog is up there in third as well. At the moment, the two American-built cars will be starting one behind the other. Can they use that to an advantage coming down into turn one? Gio comes across the line and does not improve. It seems like they've used the very best of those wet tyres, and the track is so sodden now. Enormous amount of oversteer for Laguna Seca coming out of turn 3. What a ridiculous noise. On the overrun as well, absolutely glorious. I can well imagine that if it's a two-stopper for Andrax, then it's probably going to be a two-stopper for at least the Audis. If the pace is high enough, then we will absolutely be looking at two stops, just because the amount that the tyres are going to be degrading. Marauder improving his times now, 1:24.6. Alice Gerhan improving to his old time of 1:23.25.3. And Inky Chris in the 25 Porsche climbs to the top of the grid. We were wondering how long it would take for that Porsche to make its mark. Massive slide coming out of turn 3. Meanwhile, the rest of the grid don't seem to be improving all that much. They seem to have settled into their positions on the grid. 52 seconds remaining. Laguna Seca's going to come across the line and not improve again. Gio as well, 6th place. Aaron in the bright red Mercedes. It's a weird line. Coming through the corkscrew, a massive twitch. 25 seconds remaining. Let's jump on board with Laguna Seca. Bonnet camera, as if we had a GoPro fitted to the windscreen. Completely missing the apex of turn 5 there, and still getting a massive drift on. Beautifully held again through 7, now up towards 8-9 at the corkscrew. Where does he brake? In a straight line, ignoring all sense in the racing lines, just to try and get that car stopped. Second to last corner. And now on the brakes hard for the hairpin. Try not to lock up, and then get the power down as quick and as hard as you dare. Just controlling the slightest bit of oversteer. Pulls right to the inside, and no improvement for the Russian. Pulls in the clutch, makes his way off the racing line. Alan Rake is having problems. And Aaron, the last of our... yeah. The last of our qualifiers. Down into the dip. Turn 10, I think it was. And then 11 will be this one. The hairpin, and we count down the seconds to... and no improvement there for Aaron. So your times, your grid will line up as follows. Inky Chris will take the pole, Marauder in second, Asgerhan third, fourth will be Mad Dog, Laguna Seca in fifth, sixth will be BDG Geo, seventh will be Aaron, eighth will be Alan Rake. Then in the Group A's, Trip will take the pole from Apex Mayborn, Howie, Andrex UK, Ticklewish Picklewickle, and Chuck Scone being the reliable, safe pair of hands that he is in that Audi. So the calm before the storm, and believe me, the storm is brewing. You could say it's already here. As the drivers get everything prepared, their fuel loads, their tyre settings, their pit stop strategies. Do they have enough fuel on board? Are they going to fuel in the pits? Because a heavy tank does cost you quite a bit around this track, and especially with the lack of traction through the slower speed corners, you are going to feel that extra 50 kilos or so. Hopefully not too long to wait now. And our drivers are ready to take the start. As per usual, the AOR rolling start begins with a warm-up lap. I'm expecting quite a calm one from all concerned. The tyre life on these wets is going to be severely limited, and having to run the entire race, because make no mistake, this is heavy rain throughout the entire session that we're looking at. On the upside, at least the gravel will be nice and grippy, so you shouldn't hit the wall. Watch that be disproved in about 20 seconds time. Just the slightest bit of weaving from our leader, and even then, the weaving that is going on seems to be fairly lackluster it's more in the warming of brakes than it is the tyres. Sure, everyone is keenly aware of that enormous stop coming down into the turn 1 and 2. Down through the corkscrew for possibly the slowest time. Of the race. Then they form up perfectly to the GT1s now. How is Trip? Trip is holding the Group A significantly closer than last time out, which is good news. But here we go, Alan Raker's already pitted, so is going to go a lap down. I'll bring the map up for you now. A very slow start, but wait for the sound of the rising engines. The Porsche goes, the Panos goes with them, and the pack disappears across the start-finish line as one. Down towards the first corner, heavy on the brakes. Remember, the Panos do not have ABS, whereas the Porsche does. Well held as always by all of our drivers. And now across the line for the Group A starts. Eyes on Mayborn in the BMW, losing out under the initial launch thanks to that Audi's four-wheel drive, but everybody being super sensible coming out of the Andretti hairpin for the first time. Andrex UK using those fresh wets to not drift everywhere. Meanwhile, Marauder under pressure at the moment, it looks like, from the Mercedes. But that could just be the lack of pace early in the race before the tyres are up to temperature. Meanwhile, up the inside, coming down through Rainy Curve and into turn 10, Mad Dog getting past Atlas, getting past Gio, it seems like. So Gio must have gotten past earlier in the lap. Either that or Mad Dog was defending fairly vigorously. Always on the knife edge, these Panos will be. But maybe that's just the way they like it. Porsche missing the apex entirely in favour of trying to drag more speed out of the corner. Meanwhile, Marauder doing his best to make it to the inside on that corner, but that it does have a positive camber going through that corner. Up and over the brow of the hill. Where do they choose to brake? The panels braking very, very early. Maybe getting set up now. Oh, just a little bit wide through Rainy Curve. That's a shame. It's going to drop him back a touch. Mad Dog, meanwhile, doesn't seem to be having the pace that we've seen from him all season. Don't think he's quite defending from Gio yet, but it's only a matter of time. Meanwhile, Andrex UK using the tyres that he has while he has them to make the pass on Mayborn. Into turn 10, through that enormous dip. And now the BMW goes up the inside. It does have a performance advantage simply because it is so much more responsive, but once you get on the straight, the Ford just walks away from the BMW. Absolutely nothing compares to that Ford down the straights. And live, it's a shame you're at work, Empower, because dear God, it would be nice to have you sat next to me doing the maths while I seriously can't. I can't at the best of times and talk at the same time, but yeah, especially not tonight. So, message coming in from Empower. Team panels are still able to take the team championship. As it stands, they would with P2 and P4. So, if we see the panels is improving, what is the cutoff? How many points do they need to score to secure the championship? We're ordered just on the outside of a second from the Porsche. P2 and P5 is not enough. Okay, more than 118 points, there we go. But P2 and P4 will get them the win. Whoa. Meanwhile, Laguna Seca in very unfamiliar territory here now. Oh, Gio, was that Gio or Aaron? That was Aaron having a massive moment. Was that under braking? Grief. Mad Dog has dropped all the way down here, yep. So he probably has dropped it off the track and just disappeared down the standings. Meanwhile, two teammates now running third and fourth in the Mercedes. Everyone hovering just outside that 1 second mark, making my eyes go funny. Meanwhile, out the Scarehorn, a bit of a German in an English sandwich here between a McLaren and a panels. What a fantastic noise from that McLaren. Jumping down to the Group A's, we still have this train behind Andrex. He's got the pass made on Mayborn, but can't press the advantage. It may be that he's used up entirely all of the tyres that he had left. And another dive up the inside goes the BMW. Andrex leaves space, but there's absolutely no point. It doesn't matter how... Whoa. It doesn't matter how much you try through that final hairpin, you're never going to make it happen with that immense straight afterwards. Ticklewish is down in 5th in class and locking up with the Audi. Two Audis taking up the back two spots of the grid at the moment in Chuck Scone and TPW. And then we have this 3-car train behind Andrex, and Andrex spins. Pushes the car just a little bit too far. Will he get it in the straight line before the other cars come past? No. So we'll have those cut places to make up. Are you referring to Trip there, Lotus? First in class at the moment and walking away. A 6-second lead from Apex Mayborn in the BMW. Arguably the car to beat in out-and-out performance. The Mercedes doesn't quite have it in the corners and the Audi doesn't have it on the straights, but this BMW really is a good mix of the two. Fastest lap now for Inky Chris, a 1:24.445. Wait. Ignore that. That was the race feed giving me qualifying time still for some reason. lapping the back of the Group A field. And Andrex looks to be suffering in a pretty big way now. Back of the grid with a 10-second gap to Chuck Scone in the Audi. Now the weather is really starting to play a part, as is traffic. Inky Chris getting massively balked through the corkscrew. Just gives Matt Marauder that temptation, getting back within a second. Doesn't have anywhere near as bad a time with Howie as the Porsche did. And now he's going to come across the straight to take Mayborn. The gap now is 9/10. Can he use that momentum to get ahead? Because they are so equal on pace. That Panos really is a demon. It looks great. It sounds great. Even on Overon, it sounds great. And by far and away the most stable package, it looks like, of the GT1 cars. Oh, and that was, who was that? I think that was, yeah, that was Tripp. Trying to get up the trying to get the GT1 car to move quicker. Traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. Hopefully it hasn't giveth Marauder any damage from that overtake. Everybody's starting to spread out now. Really are starting to spread out, which is rare. Really is. Balance of that BMW, absolutely amazing. How is our our brave man? We jump back on the bonnet camera as Andrex comes around the final hairpin. He's getting on the throttle so early. It just doesn't matter because there's no grip to that Sierra. Now under braking into the Andretti hairpin. Double apex left-hander. Feed the throttle in, it doesn't matter because the turbo's going to push all of the air in for you, and at that point you're a passenger. Turn 3 and turn 4 are relatively unnamed other than that. Beautifully controlled, kept in check. I would say he's only driving at 8/10, but this is what 10/10 looks like in this car. The absolute edge of adhesion, you're just riding the power and using it where you need to correct any understeer you might be having through the dip at turn 6. Now over the crest of the hill. Apparently that's turn 7 that, which I don't believe. That'll be turn 7, that'll be turn 8. into what I assume will be third, fourth maybe. Yes, that'll be fourth. Back on the power and ride the wheel spin. A little bit of a rubber line forming on the outside of turn 10 there. And that was a lap on board. The absolute nutcase that is Andrex UK. Let's go around slightly faster with the with SRK Marauder. Slightly different feel from this GT1 car. 6-litre V8 they put in the front of these, and then basically had straight pipes out the back. That's where all of that noise is coming from. I've actually ended up having to turn project cars down because these cars are so damn loud. Into turn 1. Turn 2, sorry, turn 3. The aero and that enormous underbody downforce systems keeping the car absolutely planted. It missed that apex at turn 5 because a puddle forms down there, and when you get in the puddle you lose all traction and you're off in the gravel. It's easier to just not bother. Now up the hill, same as we saw, still very cautious. Only about half brake pressure being used there by the panels. But a much more calm lap as the Porsche slowly ekes away into the distance. Your second place driver. Meanwhile, Laguna Seca looking to put a pass on Mad Dog, who is having issues with, I guess, trip. Yep. Trip doing the right thing and staying to the inside, and Mad Dog just caught the gravel. That gravel trap on the outside of that hairpin is an absolute beast. It bogs you down in no time, which makes sense, let's be fair, because if you had a brake failure going into that hairpin, you want the gravel to stop you. So that is 6th place for the Russian. Everything just starting to settle down a bit. But there's still time for everything to go absolutely mental again. We even have pit stops to go yet. Atlas getting his braking acceleration points. Very wrong coming through the corkscrew. Not seen a spin like that before. I wonder if that was just overslowing. It seems though as well, the performance of the cars seems to be of a scale. In the lead you have the sole Porsche now. It looks like either Inky Chris has made a mistake or Marauder has found about 2 seconds of pace, because a lap ago he was 2 seconds behind. And now he is 5/10, and even less when they get out onto the straight. That big brute versus the finely turbocharged Porsche. And we just have to sit and wait and wonder. How long will it be? Does the Panos have the pace? Does Marauder have the pace to take this win away from the Porsche? Up and over the brow of the hill, under braking. The gap is just where it was before. I'm going to suggest that was an Inky mistake. Battle traffic. And who is that? No, we're looking at Tinkerwish Pickwickle. In the way of the leaders? No, in the way of the leaders. That's not what I meant. He can't help that he's not in a GT1 car. Running off the track. What on earth happened there? Well, that's happened a few times where people have just misjudged where the car is heading. Meanwhile, further we're down in the GT1s, we have the McLaren of Laguna Seca being put under pressure by Mad Dog. Not massively, but certainly enough. And once again, the BMW of Mayborn. The BMW Mayborn and the Mercedes of Howie battling away tooth and nail. And it looks like Mayborn, Howie has lost out massively, being pushed wide by the panels of Marauder. Marauder now very much intent on getting back on the Porsche. Meanwhile, the Mercedes of Gio is starting to look quite lively. It looks as though the rain is starting to dwindle just a little bit. Maybe that'll start to give us a dry line and really throw the cat amongst the pigeons for these drivers. So it looks like the Mercedes of how he has the pace to get back up to Mayborn here, but not quite the pace to get past. So it must be done in the straights, and it must be just enough that the BMW can still defend into the braking zones. Into turn 6 now, as we turn up the hill. And yet again we see on the timing screens in the top of the table, Eike, Chris Marauder and Gio are now almost as one going through the first half of the track. Their pace has been so well balanced this entire time. And maybe the Porsche has used up what's left of his tyres. Let's jump on board with Marauder. Stare at the back of that Porsche. Spray coming off the tyres, and bear in mind that we do still have Gio only 7/10 behind us. We are not safe at all in the second position right now. A slightest bit of oversteer on the throttle is absolutely fine for the Panos. It can take that kind of four-wheel slide. But down through the corkscrew, there's nothing in the world that prepares you for that drop. And the lack of traction and the lack of steering or brakes or anything like that. And the rest of the track seemingly disappearing in a flash. It's all focused around that one formidable series of corners into the final hairpin. Gio, it seems, has dropped back slightly, so maybe through traffic that they're actually losing their time. But it's absolutely the right way to go. There's no reason why these GT1 cars should be pushing so hard that they throw their race away for the sake of a lapped car. UK still circulating. Good man sticking with that Sierra. And not getting in the way of this fight at all. That's the way to drive a lower class car. Much torque from that V8. The Marauder can just leave in second gear through the hairpin. I'm really sorry. I wish I could talk, but can't get the words out fast enough, and there is no way to describe how fantastic these drivers are doing tonight. I would assume that's Chuck Scone that we've just gone past. Dive up the inside for Marauder. All taking it very easy now. They may actually be starting to run out of rubber on these wet tyres. That Porsche is definitely running out of rubber. on those wet tyres. A third of the race through, so now we might possibly start to see some two-stop strategies being played out. Depends how confident the drivers are in the performance of their cars, because if they're comfortable, in their cars and they think that they can make up the time on some fresh rubber over the much older rubber of the one-stoppers, it could be worth it. Especially those Audis. Who would gain such a massive traction advantage over the rest of the field. Now we see the attack of Gio really has subsided. 5 seconds in arrears from our leader. This battle rages on. It's a shame we don't have full course cautions, really. It'd be amazing to have the cars running around in the event of an accident, be able to speak to the drivers directly mid-race. I don't think we've actually seen any drivers retire yet, which is good. Fantastic show from all concerned, obviously. Meanwhile, Howie and Wickle, I think that's the first time I've actually messed his name up properly. TPW just on the outskirts of a second. Maybe the tyres in their more used state is actually starting to favour the Audis. Meanwhile, Marauder, as close as he's ever been. Porsche does not look happy on those tyres. And now he's going to get massively held up by the Audi Quattro, who is going to get back up to speed slightly quicker than most of the other Group A cars, but Chris runs wide, and that is going to give another car length to the Panos, who can't make any use of it coming into the Corkscrew. Falling down the hill through Rainy Curve. Down into final turn at turn 11. as always, an absolutely brilliant demonstration of skill here. And again, in clear air, that Porsche just walks away. As soon as there is any kind of traffic in front, he just seems to lose his nerve slightly. Marauder now entirely on his bumper, trying to look around the outside through the corkscrew. It's never going to work through there, but I'm sure he felt like he had no choice but to have a look. There was a gap after all. Around the outside of Mayborn, will the Porsche go? The Panos manages to take the racing line but can't maximise as the BMW wisely gets right to the outside of the corner, or the upcoming corner. And so across the line again go your leaders for the 25th lap. Panos this time getting a four-wheel slide into the Andretti hairpin. It's not going to help his progression forward. Meanwhile, those lap times are starting to get slower and slower as the corners wear off the blocks on the tyre. It doesn't shovel the water out of the way as effectively as it did when they were new. These drivers are going to be crying for some fresh rubber very soon. Alex Gehan is the first to pit of the GT1s, so we now need to have a look at his pace, filling up all the way back up to 100 litres. I wonder if that was intentional. Now that charge in the clear air begins to wane for the Panos. But not to worry, there's about 4 more cars coming up soon. Meanwhile, Andrex UK in that ridiculously wayward Ford with the L plates on the back. They're not L plates, they're actually sponsors, but they're L plates. Finally beginning to close in on the rest of the field again. And Inky Chris gives best, very almost not making it round. And so we see just how dead those wet tyres were for the Porsche. And so Marauder takes the lead with Gio 2.3 seconds behind. There's going to be a significant break. 72 laps, 72 litres for the Porsche. An addition of roughly 50 litres. And out of the pits. How's he going to do on these fresh tyres? nice and neat around the inside of the Andretti hairpin. It's very, very easy to get that line messed up. We're running very wide, so the tyre's not quite with it yet. Chuck's gun being chased by the rabid Andrex UK. The Ford has so much pace down the straights and then loses it all in the corners. Andrex able to use the throttle to keep the car where he wants it to be. And that is going to be Tripp, yep, coming to lap them both. Tripp too with a 21-second advantage over second place. Aaron making a pit stop is going to bump Marauder up. And a beautiful wheel spin out of the pit box for Aaron. 37 miles per hour seems like a snail's pace when you compare them to the speed that they're doing normally. TPW now, finally gone past S4 Howie, and that is going to be Mad Dog, isn't it? Yep, Mad Dog having a bit of a mad time. Now straying between 4 and 5. Get him on a straight, and he drives straight past. Coming down to the back of the grid for the time being. And Andrex still can't make it past that Audi. So Inky Chris now with less fuel on board and fresh tyres, going a tenth quicker than his current best time, which is 1:26.4. So that Porsche on fresh tyres obviously has the legs, and what he's going to be trying to do now is use that fresh rubber to make up the deficit to Marauder in the panels. That traffic is not going to be helping. Gio is now only 16 seconds to the good, and we've been watching, what, a lap or so? That Porsche on fresh tyres is an absolute weapon, but are we going to see him making a late second pit stop? Andrex UK finally getting into the pits, and Chuck Scone seeing the 45-minute barrier lift And is that Audi off the ground? It is a floating Audi, I think. Ah, good. Check on in the McLaren for a minute. Running super wide and trying to get some traction down on the gravel, which is not going to work. And the rain, it seems, is starting to have its way with the track again. Gio finally getting into the pits and is going to float away for us. Fortunately, no other drivers in the pit lane for him to run over. And Mad Dog. This is where we're going to see the one-stopper strategy play out. Rough for Chris that he had to make the first pit stop, however. And that is Howie and TPW battling over second and third and fourth, sorry. TPW finally abandoning to the pits, get some fresh rubber on, and see if he can overhaul the Mercedes that way. Your former race leader Marauder in the pits. The 70 litres again. And now we're going to have a lot of floaty cars, it seems. Your race leader in Group A comes to a halt, lifts off the ground, and is not going to rejoin the ground either. Yep. Now with pit stops made, this is very interesting. Marauder has dropped down behind Gio. How long it'll stay that way, we don't know. But the Mercedes absolutely pulling a fast one on the panels there. If he can make it last. Now braking himself again, but that's absolutely fine. It won't affect his lap times too much, but the Panos trying to get down his side, spins around for Marauder. Fortunately, he's all on his own there. Well, not entirely on his own. If we... Apex Mayborn in the BMW, now making a pit stop. Aaron is only 3 seconds behind, so he can't afford to have another spin like that. It was probably just the conditions and trying to time his apex to get that position off of Gio. The real question is, how quickly is Marauder going to make up 6 seconds to the back of this Mercedes again? And how long do we have to wait until the battle's rejoined? Andrex UK on some new tyres. Has managed to hold that position ahead of Chuck Scone. Is looking slightly more shipshape. Now there's actually some tread on those tyres. I think actually Andrex may well be trying to make those tyres last to the end, so he's just doing everything he needs to do to keep them in one piece. If we get the speedo up. He's being significantly more careful with his inputs there. He's going to stay left for the GT1 car to get past, but he's not going to get past. Using the throttle to quell the understeer there. Enormous amount of braking going in as well. But Aaron now looking at the back of Marauder, just over a second. A wiper going 10 to the dozen, you can hear it. That's what that methodic, that's what that rhythmic thudding is. Down into turn 10. Mercedes now starting to look just the tiniest bit like he knows what it's doing. And now we have the very, very tall Audis to negotiate. And the Mercedes of Howie. Aaron has to give best to the apex there. Now through turn 6, running super wide. You would be a brave person to do that in the Group A cars. Other than the Audi, of course, because the Audi is cheating. It's not cheating, it has four-wheel drive. As all cars should be. Meanwhile, all of the cars are now starting to space out. Don't think that this is a slow race. These cars, as Andrex is amply demonstrating, and Aaron too. What on earth happened there? That was an enormous kick of oversteer, seemingly for no reason at all. Waiting for Aaron to throw out the scenery again. That was really strange. I'm guessing there must be a river that we can't see from our cameras running across the track at that point, and the Mercedes just caught it. Atlas running around in 6th. With quite a bit of space around. Laguna Seca just about 5 seconds in front. Oh, and Laguna Seca really struggling now with that McLaren, it seems. Going to go another lap down to Eike Chris. And now that half spin, should we say, that moment for Laguna Seca, giving the Mercedes of Atlas the target to aim for. To be fair, that bright orange stripe down the middle of the Golf Racing McLaren is not helping anything. Going defensive already does the Russian, almost around the outside, letting him go. McLaren not wanting to fight today. He knows where his pace is, and it's not with the Mercedes. Very wide. Again, they're all using that gravel. It's a good job that Project Cars doesn't simulate gravel dispersal, because there would be a veritable trench around the outside of there now. Fantastic to see this McLaren F1 circulating. It's a shame. It's a massive shame that it's running so far down the field. They weren't known for being the best cars as far as handling was concerned. They were always a bit vague, but as an image to capture the imagination, Andrex is driving the Ford Sierra Cosworth with that dinner plate, that dinner table that someone strapped to the back of it for reasons unknown. He's not doing fantastically, but he has already clinched the Drivers' Championship and is doing this purely as an exercise in driftability. No, he's fine. As far as I know, he's fine. I'm not well. I'm very ill. But no, Andrex is fine. As you'll see, as soon as he applies the throttle, his reactions are absolutely on point. No. Only one pit stop so far for the Scot. But I think seeing a Scotsman in the predecessor to the Ford Focus is quite appropriate for the end of this, quite frankly, incredibly entertaining series. Multi-class racing really is the future. I don't understand how people can say anything else. It adds another layer to the intrigue of a race and gives even more opportunities for us to talk to podium winners. Which again, I don't mind. I love talking about racing in cars. I will do it until the cows come home, as you've probably all worked out by now. Beautiful bit of driving, as always, from Andrex. And we look to Mad Dog, who is now on the back of the McLaren F1. Both of them being plagued by whichever Audi that is. That'll be Chuck Scone. Oh, yeah, poor boy. He will not know what to do. And there's McLaren on the outside. Don't get too clever. The McLaren runs wide. We're going to jump to the side for the time being. And that is the place given and received. And that puts the Panos in 6th place. But does he have anywhere near the legs to catch those Mercedes in the 25 minutes that remain? I'm thinking that may not be possible tonight. Especially not for Mad Dog. Marauder is absolutely trying his best. A 3-second gap to Gio is coming down at a fairly predictable rate. Now Marauder getting through the traffic. Laguna Seca being absolutely gracious for a man who is so used to being near the head of the field. He's handling the back of the field like an absolute champ. Let's just... Yep, sounds just as good. Mercedes V12 back there, if I remember correctly. V10. I'm going to have to look it up now. 1 second. Oh, see, that's a mistake. Googling McLaren F1 GTR is a mistake. Yep, because it is so pretty. Yeah, BMW S70 V12 engine. That's exactly what's in it. No wonder it makes such a fantastic noise. For those of you who don't remember, Formula 1 for a while had V12s and made a similar kind of noise. Yeah. There's so many pistons at that point that it doesn't matter what you pipe it through in the way of an exhaust, it will sound harmonious. Just an absolute shame that it doesn't seem to be showing that well tonight. At least in the GT1 class, so when he gets back on the straight, he'll probably drive straight past this Mercedes. Yeah, beautiful. Let's have a look at let's have a look down our standings. With 20 minutes remaining, we have Eike Sky with a gap of 23 seconds back to BDGGO. Actually, was this a better way of doing it? No, it's not. Then Gio has a 2.32-second gap back to SRK Marauder. Remember, that's gone down from 3 in the past 5 minutes. Very good pace from the panels now, but is it enough to be able to make the pass, or is it just going to be chasing in vain? Marauder then has a 10-second gap back to the first of the Mercedes, in second of the Mercedes, wow, in Aaron, who is then ahead of Atlas Gehen by 40 seconds, who has Mad Dog following him, who has just been lapped once again by who I can only assume is Gio. Yes. And in a mere 22 seconds behind Mad Dog, we find Laguna Seca running last in the GT1 class. Still a fantastic noise. And now in the Group 8, we have Tripp leading the way. My commentator's curse absolutely not phasing him at all, which is a shame. I'm joking. And in second place, we have the formidable tank of Howie. A mere 20 seconds in arrears to Tripp in the Audi. And then Mayborn in the BMW. Seven seconds behind with a 30-second gap back to Ticklewish Picklewickle. For what it's worth, he's currently in the brakes for turn 5 and TPW has only just gotten over the line. And then 45 seconds to the bad, should we say. Not that it matters in the slices. I'm sure Andrex has had an absolutely fantastic evening tonight, trying to keep that wayward Ford in a straight line. Beautiful drift through turn 10 there for Andrex. And then last but certainly not least, an absolute staple and the self-proclaimed mascot of the series is Chuck Scone, whose driving has been, well, reliable as a stopwatch. It really has been. courteous as all to all, and just getting the laps done, getting the experience under his belt, and his safety rating and his skill rating is going to be improving all the time. It seems as though the weather is getting the better of him, though. We have seen him pit already. Maybe if he was touching the ground, he would have a better time of the traction. Marauder is now just on the outskirts of a second behind Gio. This is the battle that we were waiting for, and it has come with 17 minutes to go. Of course, this is going to be the point at which Marauder starts to notice the downforce disappearing. Just flashed up for a second there. And now we see, as my voice really is starting to go. Now all it took was a little bit of traffic, and that gap that was a second is 0.6. Both are running low on tread. Let's get the speedo up. First gear for the Mercedes, we jump down a place, and that is second gear through the corkscrew for Marauder. Down into the last hairpin, and both being as greedy as they dare with the throttle. Panels just proving that it still is a force to be reckoned with, even if it's not quite got the pace of that leading Porsche today. Taking second, or best of the rest, is absolutely no mean feat. The Mercedes dives to the inside of Andrex in the Ford, and the Panos follow suit. Hopefully the Panos isn't going to get stuck behind the Audi of TPW. Or is it Mayborn? It was Mayborn. Not even a blinking Audi. To the outside of a second now. The amount of stopping power in those brakes. the amount of grip from those tyres as well. And now we see the pace of the panels versus the Mercedes in clear air, and once again proving that while the Mercedes and the Porsche are much better when the track is clear, the panels just has it where it counts in traffic. And when you get these big groups of cars all being absolute gentlemen and driving as they should, it creates somewhat of a car park. It seems just content to hover on the upper side of a second. There's no penalties been handed out this entire race. The drivers all behaving themselves really well, mind you. You wouldn't really want to cut the corner anywhere here, would you? Here we go, traffic once again playing its role. A floating Audi will halt the progress of the Mercedes just for a second. And the sniff of a second place comes back to Marauder as he sits 3/10 from the bumper of that Mercedes. Mercedes runs wide, Panels doesn't. That's going to give Marauder a slight advantage coming up the hill, but can he make anything of it? Under braking, remember, the Mercedes has ABS, the Panels does not. He's entirely reliant on Marauder's right foot, left foot, behaving itself and not locking a wheel. And under braking again, the Mercedes just ekes out the tiniest of edge. But then a four-wheel slide for Gio in the final hairpin. And over the crest we go, down towards turn 1 now. The gap as close as it has ever been. And now what we really need for the sake of that Panels is some traffic to fall poorly for the Mercedes. And up the hill, it looks like we've got retirement there. Who have we lost? We still have Andrex that's running around. I think we've lost Chuck Scone. Oh, that would be upsetting. We'll see as they come through the final corner here. Look for the... yes. That is an Audi up on its jacks. Yeah, it looks like that is the end of the race for Chuck. He's still in the voice chat. Back up and over the crest. And now they fall down the hill. Panos paying very close attention. He knows that there's an Audi coming up. He knows that this is going to be the opportunity that he's going to get, and he looks to the outside now, switches back to the inside. Under braking is not going to happen. The Mercedes and the panels come very, very close to touching. I don't know if there was a touch or not. But either way, both being absolute gentlemen as usual. With the panels straight onto the back of the Mercedes. Business as usual resumed. The time is very quickly running out for these drivers. 5 minutes 50 remaining, plus a lap obviously. And that may be the best chance that Marauder's got. Coming down into turn 1, there is an absolute touch there that time. Oh, I wish I had access to instant replays because I would love to see that. Now 5/10 back. Gio is using up all of his tyres trying to keep that panels at bay, and that is entirely all that he's got to give. He dives up the inside of Andrex. I think he parks himself in a place that he didn't mean to be, and that is going to be the invitation that Marauder needs. Coming up to the corkscrew, nothing happening there, but the panels go slightly wider. He's going to straighten the chicane slightly more, which means he can get the power down earlier. That gap is going to start closing very, very quickly now. As the front engine panel looks to the inside, just a dummy now looking to the outside. That Mercedes is really suffering on, I can't tell if it's the front or the rear tyres. He looks to be getting away fine. Maybe it's his front tyres that are starting to feel the pain. The panel's trying to go almost too tight over into the pit lane. and runs very wide there, but that won't impact him too much. He'll be able to use... a Marauder spins, and that, with 3 minutes to go, is probably going to be the end of that charge. I very much think that's a 7-second gap now to Gio. Marauder is probably going to put himself into cruise home mode. Definitely has the fuel left to do that. Just need to be very careful that he doesn't let the tyres cool off too much, as he has just spun as well. The tyres are going to be covered in dirt and cold from this deluge that has been falling on us today. I think that's probably the story of the day, is the weather, the low traction conditions, not really suiting anybody, but of anybody it has suited the Porsche, as seems to be the Porsche tradition. They come alive most in the rain, almost able to drive as quickly in the wet as in the dry, and keep it all in a straight line. Your leader now with a almost 30-second gap to the leader, to second place, and Howie is in the pits for a very late pit stop. Was this on purpose, or is this to repair damage? There's not a lot of activity going on my screen, but that could be just the way it's going. No penalties incurred. That's a very, very long stop. Meanwhile, Andrex, first time I've done that today, with a 50-second gap to make up. Howie is moving again, so there may have been a lot of damage that he's had to have repaired. But 40 seconds remaining, so let us sum up for what has been an eventful but also very, very underrated race. Laguna Seca, as always, is the star of the show, same as Nürburgring and all of the iconic tracks like that. You don't go to these tracks to make headlines. The tracks make the headlines. You just are in for the ride. And first, as he comes across the line, timing his lap to perfection, is Eike Chris in the Porsche, and that will be your finale. Chris finally getting the finish that he must have felt he deserved. A bit of weaving before some celebratory donuts arrive. And give me a second, just got to find. Andrex comes across the line, and donuts will be aplenty for this Sierra, I'm sure. Onto the infield. And now, so Gio across the line, second place for Mercedes, fantastic effort for him. Marauder, after all of that trying and all of that effort, it will be a third place for the panel's driver, and we have to wait another 16 seconds for Aaron to come across the line in the number 19 Mercedes, but this will be his highest position, place of the year, and he will take all the points that come with it. Alice Gerhan, the first of the lapped cars, it seems, shining a light on your race winner. Mad Dog down in 6th. Laguna Seca in 7th. A brave fight, but it seems like the McLaren was not the choice for today. Across the line we will go. Your final classification, some fantastic driving all around, no penalties incurred whatsoever, and Inky Chris will take home the victory. BDGGO in 2nd, Marauder in 3rd, Aaron 4th, Alex Gerhan 5th, 6th will be Mad Dog, Laguna Seca will come home in 7th, and Alan Rake in 8th. Did not... he was disqualified, unfortunately. In Group A, Trip will come home and take the gold medal. Apex Mayborn will come home in 2nd. Typical Picklewickle in 3rd. 4th will be S4 Howie. 5th will be Andrex UK in their absolutely bonkers Ford Sierra. And Chuck Scone will retire to 6th place. We do have some drivers ready for interview, and we will take first of all our Group A winner, Trip.
How's it going, man?
Apparently my commentator's curse didn't work on you, mate.
I don't know, I spun a couple of times.
Yeah, but you spun less than the others.
Oh, really?
It was some fairly challenging conditions, though, shall we say. Talk us through your race.
It was relatively plain sailing, actually. I didn't really get into battles with anybody other than, you know, a few of the GT ones. It was, yeah, I just kind of like, I got pole and then that was it, really. I think I was probably at least kind of like half a second quicker than anybody else, and I just filled out a gap and that was it. Yep,
a fairly mundane race, but that is surely the best way to win a race.
Oh, don't get me wrong, mate. I'm delighted. It's only my 2nd ever AOR win ever.
Oh, wow, okay.
I've been doing this stuff for like 3 years, so yeah, I'm delighted, mate. It's,
awesome.
Oh, mate, yeah, I've got a grin from cheek to cheek, mate.
Excellent. No, that's fantastic to hear. And to win, well, I suppose, for your 2nd ever win, to win with such a tight-fisted grip on the victory from start to finish must be even more... It must be contributing to your grin.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was... In other races, when, you know, Andrex has been that far ahead, I've always kind of thought that maybe, you know, being 45 seconds ahead of somebody else, you know, no one challenging has got to be maybe a little bit boring. Nah, I thoroughly enjoyed today, mate. It was, this was more dominant than my other one by far. My first ever win, I took the lead with like 3 laps to go, so this was a lot less stressful.
Yep. And that's what it is. When you're in the lead and you've got a bit of a gap, you can pace yourself, you can get your own lap times in, you can get everything like to the right temperature and just head home, basically.
Yeah, all I had to do was just like hit my apexes and that was it, really. It was all, the entire thing was you know, braking early, not locking up at all, keeping close to the apexes, you know, and just basically staying out of trouble. There wasn't a lot to it. It was just like, you know, making sure I was.
Yep, no, absolutely. So the final race in the series, are we going to be seeing you back in the Endurance League again?
If they do another Endurance League, I'll be here.
I'm sure.
Absolutely. I thoroughly enjoyed this season. It's been brilliant.
No,
I love that car, that Audi. It's fantastic. You know,
oh yeah,
if they race that again, I'm
Yeah, I think that may be. Oh my goodness, there's so many people waiting for interview. Okay, right, we'll have to cut this short.
Okay, mate.
But congratulations on your win. I'm over the moon to hear you so happy. I've got to be honest. After some of the interviews that we've had post race in the past, like hearing you smile like that is fantastic and great to hear. But I'll see you about in one of the other AOR leagues then.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Brilliant. Catch you in a bit. We will go to. I'll tell you what. As we're with the Group A's, we will. Actually, we've got Inky Chris. We've got Inky Chris and ready to interview. Let's interview our winner.
Yeah.
Hello for the GT1 class, and your race was a bit of a. It wasn't as easy as Trip had it, should we say, in the Group A. You had a bit of pressure, let's say.
Yeah, well, certainly the first half of the race, I was really expecting. I was really struggling to keep Marauder behind me.
Yeah.
It's a bit easier, certainly around that track, and in the rain, you can't see what you're doing behind. It definitely helped me out a bit.
Oh yeah, no, there was a few times where we saw Marauder going for a corner that just straight up wasn't there because he was trying to get to an apex that was where you were basically.
Yeah, that's definitely experienced that last season.
Yeah.
When I was a bit closer to people in front. So it's always quite exciting. But yeah, I just prioritised staying on the track, and it seemed to pay off.
Yep.
Managed to gap him quite well in the pits as well.
I was
I'm not
gonna
quite sure how that worked.
I was gonna say I'm not sure I've ever seen an undercut work like that in AOR. Generally,
No,
generally you
I didn't-
pay the price quite badly come the end of the race, but you seem to keep
Yeah.
everything together.
Yeah, I just remember last week I should have undercut, and I still managed to kind of close the gap, but not enough. So this week I thought, well, I'm starting to pull away from Marauder, and there's a load of Group A's in front. I'll just dive in now. So I knew I had enough time to, I had enough space in the tank to get to the end, and then just went from there. The fresh tyres served me well. Managed to get the fastest lap towards the end as well.
Yep.
So fresh rubber doesn't really matter either.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's very fun.
It's the fuel load more than anything else, really. As soon as that burns off,
yeah,
like, you're home free.
Especially in the rain as well. The tyres don't seem to make too much of a difference.
Yeah.
At least not in those cars, because
Yeah.
sliding around all over the place anyway.
So the season finale.
Yes.
And you take home the win.
I do.
You're going to
finally
take that momentum into your next AOR series then?
Hopefully, yes. Yeah, I might join some reserve GT3 or something, and hopefully do some more eccentric cars like Group C or something.
Fantastic.
I really enjoy these non GT3 cars.
Yes.
Good fun. Hopefully fun to watch. So.
Yeah. No. The multi-class racing absolutely changes everything as far as I'm concerned. It was one of the selling points to me of Project Cars too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Here you go. Just throw four classes in a track and just see what happens.
Yeah, I've not tried quite that many yet. I think maybe we'll have some LMP fun in the future. There's
yes.
A couple more classes. I think
that would be
interesting,
very entertaining.
Yes.
But congratulations.
Thank you very much. Very happy.
Very, very, very well done on both your tactics and your driving. I don't think you spun once that entire race.
No, the only time I outbraked was into the penultimate corner.
Oh, really?
And, just briefly, it cost me like half a second, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can solve that with throttle.
The only time
anyway,
I came
you?
off track. Yeah, that's right.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure I ever went through that corner without drifting all four wheels.
I don't think anyone
Probably
did.
not the only one. No.
I don't think anyone did. Yeah. But there you go. Right. You have a lovely evening, and I will see you next time.
Well.
You good, mate.
Cheers.
Right. Okay. So we've had our victors, and now let us bring in BDG. That's Aaron. Who have we got? Apex Mayborn is still around. Good man. Hey there, Mayborn. Congratulations on second place in the BMW.
Thank you very much. It's been very exciting for this one. I was worried at some point that Howie wasn't gonna pit, and I wasn't going to catch him. But in the end, he was. I think his tires were just shot.
Yes. Yep. That sounds about right. How did you find the tires in the BMW?
They were going off rather quickly, but still I managed with only one pit stop. But for the first stint, they were kind of burning.
Yep.
They weren't actually that hot, but they were just going off at a rapid speed.
Yeah. Something that I noted last time you were out is with that BMW, you are able to get very sideways and use what you'd call a lack of traction.
Yeah, I think you actually need to do that to be kind of fast in the BMW.
Yeah. It was great when you were having that battle with Andrex in the start because you see the difference between the two cars. Whereas Andrex has all of the power and is fighting the car constantly, you kind of were able to steer, get into the corner and then use the throttle to decide where you were gonna go in the corner.
Yeah, a little bit of throttle and a little bit of steering, or actually a lot of throttle and just
some steering.
A little bit of steering. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. But it was good fun. It's been really, really good fun racing these guys and racing these cars. So yeah, good.
And hopefully we will see you back on the next funky series that we end up doing.
Yeah, it depends very much on the cars, I guess,
Yeah, of course.
and probably the people. But these cars has been absolutely great fun.
Brilliant. No, fantastic to hear, and it's been absolutely enormous fun watching all of you circulating and just giving us the most entertainment. As someone who enjoys racing and as someone who enjoys driving, you've all put on an absolutely fantastic show, and it's been great to watch. So thank you
Thank you very
from the
much.
bottom of all our hearts for putting on
Yeah,
such a great show.
I'm really gonna miss being overtaken by the GT1s all the time,
Um,
especially the Panos. It's just such a beautiful car to
it
be
really is.
racing.
It
Yeah,
really is. I'm gonna miss casting on it. I'll be honest. I jumped on the bonnet cam tonight, and it's just like, oh, it's such an iconic shape. It really is.
yeah. Such a shame it wasn't better in real life.
That's fine. It doesn't matter. It's not a
No,
problem.
you're right. It doesn't matter at all.
No,
Yeah,
it looks good. That's what matters. And in the same
exactly.
vein, so did that BMW. It's looked absolutely fantastic the entire season. It's been a joy to watch, and you've piloted it absolutely expertly.
Thanks, mate.
All right, but I will see you another time. All right.
Yeah, I will. Have a good night,
Thank you very
and
much. You
thanks
too.
for commentating.
No, of course, absolutely anytime. I absolutely love watching you guys
Very
race.
enjoyable. So thanks.
Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Anyway, you
Of
have a
course.
lovely evening, mate.
Yeah, you too.
Catch you in a bit.
Bye.
Who else do we have? We have Tickwish Picklewickle. We have Aaron. Which one are we going to take? We're going to take third place in our Group A. Third place for Tickwish Picklewickle.
Good evening.
I actually messed up your name tonight. That's how tired I am. I managed to mess up your name.
Well, it is quite a tongue twister, I suppose.
It's the first time for everything. How was
Yeah, yeah.
how was that race for you? I assume since you have the Quattro on your side, it was an absolute cinch, and you were very much just nursing the tires.
Well, so yeah, I mean, the car was really controllable. I mean, obviously, like compared to the other cars, the four-wheel drive is just it's a blessing in the rain, really. But it also has its costs, especially the understeer, like really big understeer, and the I was behind Howie for a bit, for a couple of laps, and especially in the very slow corners, I had a hard time keeping up with him because I mean, his turn-in was just so much better than me and mine. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, that's really how it is. But yeah, and I mean, to be honest, I didn't really have the pace to sort of compete for any higher positions than I was. So I think all in all, I did what I could, and I pretty much achieved what I deserved, I suppose.
yeah.
Had a bit of a coming together with I think it was Marauder. I don't know if you caught it
Yeah,
in the Corkscrew.
I say I
Yeah,
think I did actually. Yeah. Because you he was trying to go up the inside of you, wasn't he? He was to the left of you.
I'm not quite sure what happened. But yeah, I mean, I just held my line. He might have maybe uh though we went to a space that wasn't there, and then he hit the sand. Or I
Yeah,
mean, I completely just see it as a racing incident. I mean, I was actually gonna pit the same lap, so
yeah.
I didn't really lose too much time over it, so
No.
wasn't all that bad. But I mean, all in all, I did. I think I did pretty much what I could this time, and it went pretty smooth. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm quite satisfied with what I got because that was probably the best that could have achieved
Could have
tonight.
hoped for. Yeah, no, absolutely. As like Trip was in an entirely different class today. He really was, and I think Apex Mayborn has got the tuning of that BMW down to a fine art, as well as the driving as well. So no, you absolutely spot on. Best of the rest is like something to be celebrated, and you still got a podium out of it. It's not as though you're like fourth place in a less than par Ferrari or something like that.
No, no, I mean, it was. I mean, I was a bit lucky that I think it was Howie that pitted. like 5 minutes left or something. So
Yeah, I did
I was
notice that.
lucky to. I was lucky to snatch that position. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
absolutely.
jumped from 4th to 3rd. So
Yep.
it was nice to get that one gifted. But yeah, I mean, I'll take it, of course. But
I'll say you had
yeah.
to be there to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I was behind him for when I was behind him actually um he was like he was faster than me
Yeah.
pretty much, and but I just kept it more clean, and he was sort of a little bit twitchy. I noticed. So yeah, and he ended up spinning, so I actually got the position as well. So
Ah,
but
cool.
yeah, I think I mean especially when I don't have the pace, I usually play it sort of safe and just try to be as consistent as possible and not to take too many chances, because
Yeah, of course.
especially in these very long races and in the rain, people can sort of maybe to the end of the race, people might maybe have a hard time concentrating.
Yep.
They might make some stupid mistakes that I can take advantage of.
Can you
So
can? Yep,
yeah.
absolutely. No, absolutely, totally agree. But this is the championship over now. So what are you gonna do from here then?
I'm obviously gonna obviously gonna continue with the GT3s, but I must say this season has been really great. Some really competitive and really professional driving. The overall quality of drivers in the league has been absolutely amazing. Really,
Yeah.
like there's been so many good and clean battles from the front of the grid to the back. I mean, it's been absolutely great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even this race with the very low turnout we had was just phenomenal. It was so great, and I enjoyed every second of the whole championship.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, the cars are so iconic. The tracks that we've been to are so iconic. The driving has been absolutely fantastic throughout, as you said. Like, you can't, when you put all of those together, you can't not be entertaining.
No, I mean, yeah, it's great, and I'm really happy that we got this one in the book, I suppose,
Yeah.
because yeah,
Well, maybe it'll open up some people's minds and to the idea of multi-class racing. Perhaps we can start making other multi-class championships going around sprint series. That would be fun.
definitely. I mean, yeah, and even I mean, I wouldn't really mind doing even if we only had one tier with drivers. I don't really mind because um, at the end of the day, especially with this, we really saw that in this league that um, it was definitely quality over quantity for this. We didn't have like a massive grid, but the grid that we had was just absolutely phenomenal, and it was just built up of just
Yeah,
all
fantastic
professional and
drivers.
all clean drivers.
Yep, totally agree.
It was so great.
Yep, absolutely, totally agree. But thank you very much. Congratulations on your third place.
Thank you very much.
And I will probably end up speaking to you next Wednesday after the GT3 League.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Brilliant. You have a lovely evening, mate. I'll catch you next time.
You too.
We have one more. I am saving Andrex for last, by the way, and there is a very good reason for that. That I've had something tweeted at me that we'll find out. We'll just speak to Aaron first. Hey there, Aaron. Sorry.
Hey.
Dragged you out of a conversation, didn't I?
Yeah, exactly. I was
God
talking with Andrex about the McLaren guy.
Ah, gotcha. So, how was that race for you? A fairly mundane, safe fourth place.
I mean, it was pretty good with 0 hours of training, like 0 laps. I mean,
really?
Qualifying was my first lap, so that's why I was like 6 seconds behind or something.
Oh, good grief. Okay.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, totally. Wait, so you've you've driven Laguna Seca before, just not in the GT1.
Yeah, but like for the fun, not even racing.
Yeah, okay. But in which case,
like racing here.
In which case, fourth place. Congratulations, man. That is.
Thank you, man.
That is absolutely, and you scored ahead of Mad Dog as well.
Yeah, I was like, what? Even my fastest lap was like equal to my teammate, and I was like, what the hell is happening here?
It's just the Mercedes is just a versatile car. That's all it is.
Yeah, but that first corner was like, I was getting so mad at that first corner.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it, but every single lap afterwards, I was getting 300 milliseconds, like I was going slower, and I was like, how the heck am I supposed to go faster? I accelerate, I just go to the sand.
Yep.
I don't accelerate, I go to the puddle that's inside. I don't know how to do the corner.
Nope. Nope. There is no ideal line. I saw people going off the track on the outside to try and get some extra, like getting the throttle down earlier.
Yeah.
So it really was a bit of a free for all tonight, but it was a fantastic race, all things said and told. And again, bearing in mind you had absolutely no practice, 4th place is really something to be praised.
Yeah. Plus, I arrived home like 5 minutes before the timing of the race start.
Oh yeah, don't worry, I'm
okay.
with you there.
Yeah, I was like, okay, it's dry, all good. Suddenly, I asked for my teammate, like, do you have any like last second advice? And he says, watch out with the puddles inside. And I'm like, what puddles? Isn't it dry?
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, no. It's going to be raining at Laguna Seca, where it never rains.
Yeah, exactly. This is Empower's fault. He's an evil guy.
Yes, I totally agree. It's all Empower's fault. We'll just blame him.
Yeah, he's not even racing here. He's not suffering.
Yeah,
he all suffered.
Yeah, totally.
He went on vacation.
Oh, is that what it was? I thought he was working.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Okay. Good grief. Unbelievable. Right. Now that you've exposed Empower, a good championship, you enjoyed the multi-class racing?
Yeah, I always enjoyed the multi-class. The first like few races were kind of shady because everyone was like getting used to the pace and the passing and stuff. But afterwards, when we all knew more or less what our speed was, we weren't like fighting too much with the guys that were like super faster than us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just got more calm.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You have to approach these races in an entirely different frame of mind, and yeah, it's great. It's great to see the drivers learning how to pass and be passed as well.
Yeah, it's like this championship was a good for me because in the last one it was IMSA with the LMP3s and I don't remember that ones. I was always getting like crashing Hendrix and stuff, and this one I just went calm, passing, trying not to ruin anyone's race.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, you did good, man. It's been challenging for everyone, I think. But all in all, a really enjoyable series, I think.
Yeah, it was a challenging calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's entirely why Empower built it like that, was specifically for the challenge.
Yeah,
but
I hope there's another one, like another championship of Endurance League or something.
I'm sure there will be. If you cry to people to the coordinators enough, they'll probably organise something. But
yeah, I hope so.
in the meantime, thank you very much for being a key part of this championship. It's been absolutely fantastic watching you race it and watching the battles that you've been taking part in.
Well, thank you for all of what you've done.
I was going to say
streaming and stuff.
Thank you for watching you. You thank me for watching you. Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound so creepy.
Because after every single race, I go watch the stream, and it's so funny.
Good. I'm so glad that you enjoy my my idle ramblings while you're running around the track.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been absolutely fantastic watching your drive, and I look forward to either commentating over it again or taking part next time. Because after every one of these races, my brain is just sort of going, I need to get me in one of those.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be the Panos, right? If it was the GT1s.
I don't know. I would need to actually do some testing. because I very rarely drive the GT1s. I tried to get the McLaren working, and I think that you could probably make it work with some elbow grease, but it would take some time.
Well, it was my first time driving GT1, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right, I will catch you in a bit. I now need to have a chat with Andrax, which should be very entertaining.
Yeah, it's going to be. I'm going to listen to that.
Good man, good man. I'll catch you in a bit, Aaron. You have
Yeah,
a
thank
lovely
you.
evening.
You too, man.
And finally, we get to Andrax. Sorry about the wait, mate. There was a few people wanting to interview.
No, it's good. It's all good. It's nice, nice little send off at the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Well, that kind of went as I predicted, really. I lasted longer than I expected, to be honest.
I was going to say you got to the end of the race this time.
I did. Well, last week it was a case of I thought I was probably going to end up killing somebody.
Yes.
But tonight I just thought if I just play very cautious and drive like a granny, then
You'll get
we
there.
might keep everybody else alive that are anywhere near me. So we just kind of held back. And to be fair, it wasn't so much all about just preserving everybody else's life, but engine damage was a factor.
Really?
So, yeah, so I came in and pitted halfway, got some fresh boots on, topped the tank up a bit,
Yeah.
and went out, carried on, and it was all going fine. I got about another five laps or so in on that second stint. I thought, okay, I'll just check that I've got enough fuel. And I looked down at my kind of dashboard, and it was showing 60.
Oh no!
So I was like, all right, that's fine. No, we've got plenty of fuel. It's all right. We can survive half an hour on 60 liters. That's probably about right.
Yep.
And then another couple of laps later, I noticed it was at 65. What? Yeah, no, that was engine damage, not fuel. So then it was a case of, well, maybe I can't survive at that kind of rate because that's getting quite close to the 100% mark. So I had to kind of tame it down a little bit after that. But,
The problem is,
and then I finished with like 0.8 of a litre left.
Oh, good grief!
Yeah, I hadn't even been looking at the proper fuel after that. And once I twigged that it was engine damage, I forgot to actually look at my fuel and figure out what's going on.
Oh
so
man,
it was very fortunate. On my last lap, I was speaking to Eike, saying, "Is this your last lap, please?" Because I'm not going to get another one.
I tell you what,
So-
Chris was coming round the last hairpin with 3 seconds to go.
Whew.
He was very, very close.
Well, I wasn't far behind him, and I'd slowed down just in case I had to go into the pit, so I could see him on the mini-map. I could see when he was going to cross the line, and it came up with a checkered flag. I thought, all right, no, I can carry on.
Yeah.
But I just kind of dondered along towards the pit entry, thinking that was a bit of gas.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go away with it.
But so the Sierra Cosworth is not the choice for a championship entry, is what you're saying?
Well, I only made a couple of mistakes tonight. First one was bringing the Sierra.
Yep.
But no, I think on the wet it's just not a chance.
No.
Because tyre wear was horrendous. Finished the first stint, first 45 minutes, and there was just tiniest a slither of green grip left on the tread, on the tyres. So it was never going to go well, really. But on some of the tracks, I think in somebody capable's hands, I think when we did Oschersleben last week, I was almost competitive for the first little stint whilst the tyres weren't 120 degrees. But
Yeah.
if we could tweak the setup and get it a little bit more stable and less sideways, perhaps, then it might keep the tyres a bit cooler and it might drive a bit nicer for longer.
Oh, this is the This Cosworth is the second one, wasn't it? Because the first, I'm pretty sure it was the first one that was 4-wheel drive. Or am I getting my thoughts mixed up?
In the group, I don't know about the road car ones.
Yeah, I can't remember remember which round it was.
I don't know.
But if you had 4-wheel drive now,
yeah, Yeah, that would have helped.
That would have.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't cope very well without ABS and traction control. And this is probably the worst possible combination of not having ABS and traction control in the wet in a car that has like 6,000 brake horsepower
Yep.
and no grip. So
Yep.
yeah, it wasn't a sensible choice, but thankfully I managed to get myself in a position where I could just not turn up if I really wanted to, but I would never kind of just do that. But,
No, exactly. And the thing is that
unlike our illustrious leader, who builds a calendar and puts his god awful tracks at the end of the season, and then he doesn't turn up.
Yep.
Yeah, we noticed that. Good.
Yeah. Yeah. I have. Okay, right. I'm going to ask your permission to talk about this first, because this isn't strictly related to the race, but we have some breaking news from a press release involving Slightly Mad Studios.
Oh.
So I've just been. It's just been like quoted at me. Codemasters has agreed to acquire racing simulation specialists and creators of Project Cars Slightly Mad Studios.
Wow.
I haven't read the press release now. Give me your initial thoughts, and I'll have a quick read through and see if there's anything worthy of gleaning.
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, obviously, Codemasters have got quite a few successful titles under the belt. Why they've decided to kind of go down into a kind of partnership, I don't know. Yeah, no, it's interesting though. But I mean, it must be beneficial for both companies, both developers. So, obviously, we knew that there's a new Project Cars coming out. I think it was Project Cars Evolution or something rather than Project Cars 3. But
yeah,
and I think it was kind of geared more, not arcadey, but maybe a little bit more arcadey than Project Cars 2 is.
Yeah.
I think trying to just appeal to the mass market even more. But yeah, I mean, I could see that working. I know people have obviously got a lot of reservations about Codemasters from previous titles, perhaps, but yeah, I mean, obviously it depends on how much each company's kind of working on it, whether how much Codemasters are putting their fingers into the pie, how much SMS are kind of keeping control over what they're bringing out. So,
yeah,
I mean, I can't really see it being a bad thing.
No. The thing.
So yeah, we'll obviously just have to kind of wait and see what comes from it, really.
Of course. The thing that jumps out to me from this Codemasters press release that they've brought out is that Codemasters owns Dirt, Grid, and the Formula 1 series. Now, the Formula 1 series is an interesting one because I don't think that the Codemasters engine necessarily is ideally suited to the Formula 1 genre. Would that be a fair statement?
I've never really touched any of the Formula 1, to be honest myself.
Yeah, I've driven...
open wheel things are far too quick for me. I'm
absolutely
far too old for those things.
No, totally agree with you.
But I mean, well, at the end of the day, I mean, it's just how the physics works, and then tweaking that for whichever kind of genre you're bringing it, really. So
absolutely,
yeah.
It seemed it always seemed to me that the Formula 1 series seemed to be a little bit too arcadey for the kind of drivers that would want to be driving it. If that makes sense. You feel the speed, but you don't feel the danger quite so much.
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't think there is a kind of full-on hardcore Formula 1 simulator out unavailable in the market. I guess probably iRacing might be.
It's the closest.
Considered probably one of the top there, but obviously they're more kind of for oval tracks more than road racing.
Yeah.
Obviously there is road racing, but then yeah, they've obviously got something that has to appeal to people that can't throw money at it every month and all the other DLC content along with it on iRacing. So they've kind of they've got a kind of captive market with being pretty much the only other option for Formula One
Well, exactly.
driving. So
exactly, but then you bring in the potential of the Project Cars 2 engine and the realism that affords.
yeah, absolutely. No, it could be a
It's-
very good lucrative combination. To be fair,
Yep, absolutely.
I don't imagine. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they would just keep their current sort of Formula One titles as they are and keep going like that, and then have SMS kind of partnership bring a different title
Yeah.
covering Formula One and other things, perhaps. Or yeah, I mean, I don't know if they'll have had much to do with the next Project Cars release. I suspect that was probably still SMS all by themselves.
Yep.
Um, but who knows what they're bringing out next?
But maybe,
yeah.
maybe, and I obviously pure speculation at this point. It's literally just come out. But if you look at some of the release schedules that Codemasters have been coming out recently, they have been focusing a lot more on trying to extend the life of their platforms and doing the DLC thing. But they have been putting out what I've seen, because I haven't actually looked at Dirt Rally 2 that closely. But from what I've seen, there's a lot of quality content coming from their DLC and their season passes and things like that. To transfer that across to SMS's titles, suddenly you're looking at maybe Project Cars Evolution being an extended platform with, again, DLC, maybe looking to the 2021 where it's going to be in that life cycle, having the FIA, the new hypercar regs, having the cars from that potentially being released, so we can have an esports scene that follows the real life WEC.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's potentially a step towards kind of that ultimate goal of, you take the best bits out of that simulator, you take the best bits out of this one, you take the best bits out of that one, you kind of merge it all, and you've got the perfect simulator.
Absolutely.
So I mean, they're probably two of the biggest names, obviously, in sim racing at the moment.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it could be it has potential for being a kind of dream combo.
Yep.
So hopefully, fingers crossed, see what they're bringing out. I mean, I suspect at the moment it's just the announcements of them.
Yes, absolutely.
Kind of working together as opposed to saying what the plans are or what the future holds in terms of what they're bringing out. But I mean, the best bits are some of the Codemasters games, and the best bits are the Project Cars games.
You can see why I wanted to bring it up with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's interesting, definitely.
Yeah. No,
That'd be nice. I mean, obviously the Formula One titles are a kind of annual thing because it's got to keep up with real life seasons. But I mean, you see how long. Well, I say long in air quotes, really, but I mean, I don't remember the launch date of Project Cars 2, but we're looking at well over 2 years now, and here we are still playing it, getting full grids. Okay, tonight wasn't a full grid, but like the GT3 leagues are getting kind of full grids, 2 tiers worth of full grids. So it's still a title. It's bringing people out to use it and drive it and play it and continue using it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's obviously other competition out there. There's like Assetto Corsa and R Factor and things like that, and Automobilista. Which I think is the Automobilista 2 is using the SMS engine.
It's using absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, again, that's another kind of using the SMS engine and the Automobilista kind of concept.
Yep.
Kind of pulling those two parts together, and yeah, again, I've not really been following that one so much, but again, it could be a really strong contender as one of the top titles for sure.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want at the end of the day. We want the best we can get. We want the best sims out there.
Yep.
But my concern, as you pointed out there before, in terms of like the Formula One, is perhaps considered as kind of sim KD to a large extent.
Yep.
But I mean, how hardcore can you go? Because if it's Formula One, if you go full hardcore and make it as hard as it kind of should be, no one can drive those things. And yeah,
No, but what they have brought to the Formula One games is not just Formula One anymore. You do have the Formula Renault, you have F3, F2, all of the feeder series as well. So you can very much wean yourself into that speed.
Yeah.
And
but
because,
I mean, if they were to make that Formula One title full hardcore, as sim-like as they possibly could,
yeah,
nobody would stick with it, because they'd drive it for a couple of weeks and say, "Oh my lord, I can't get near these fast guys because it's so incredibly hard,"
Yep.
and then just ditch it and go somewhere else. So it's got to appeal to as many people as they can, and it's got to cater for the guys that want it as close as kind of reasonably possible, but they want other people that kind of just want to pick it up and have a 10-minute race.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's difficult to get that balance, I guess. Yeah.
Interesting though.
For sure, definitely. I personally, I think it would be a good thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm not gonna say I'm hyped in the slightest, but I'm intrigued, and will probably keep an even closer eye on both studios going forward now.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But there you go. We'll be seeing you out next week in the GT3 League.
I don't know what week we're on, but I was going to try and sneak in a guest appearance on the Hockenheim Classic race. Bring out the old Aston Bird.
Yeah.
And see if we can try and keep up with some of those boys. But I'm not in that league. It's not something I've signed up for, so I'll see if there's a space on the night and see if they'll pick me up. But yeah, I don't know. I'm maybe gonna have to take a little bit of a break. I'm still running in the Assetto Corsa League as well, so
yeah.
You
gotta have
and I
some
think
time
there's
to
one
yourself.
more race left in the VLN series as well. So
which I'm actually going to join in on if we end up doing the Cosworths.
Oh lord.
in the snow.
Yeah, well, I think there was the Escort Rallycross
okay.
in the snow. Is the next one on the cards. Well, if everyone's gonna test it and give it the thumbs up.
Yeah. But,
it was a nice kind of combination of slightly sideways but very controllable with it.
Yeah, absolutely. But all good fun things.
Yeah.
All constructive.
Indeed.
And
but just as a kind of sign off as well, just massive thanks to Empower for building this league and running it and making all this happen. Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of the championships I'm going to remember the most, because it was one of the kind of classes that I wanted to build, but
yeah.
I think only half of the drivers wanted to kind of do it, so I kind of had to cater for the majority, and it pretty much LMP and GT at that time still. So I was absolutely stoked that he just went ahead and built this one separately, and it's been awesome. It's been a fantastic season. Topped off by the fact that I managed to steal the title somehow, but that side of things is it's almost regardless, to be honest.
No,
it's just been a really great league. There's obviously been kind of dropouts throughout the season, but the guys that are left are all absolutely top guys. So yeah, props out to everybody that hung out to the end.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. It's stellar.
Brilliant. All right, well, thank you very much for your time, and congratulations on the championship, and congratulations on keeping that Sierra mostly in line.
Yeah, we kind of turned it around a couple of times. The first time it was a case of I think I then did it 3 times on the rest of that lap. Once you'd cooked the tires, it just like there was no grip. There was no grip at the best of times, but when they were melted as well, it was horrendous. But,
yeah, absolutely.
No, but it's a bit of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a laugh.
And that's what counts, really, isn't it?
For sure. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
If it's not fun, you shouldn't be doing it.
No, totally agree. Well, with that said, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for all of the entertainment you've given. Congratulations, and I'll probably see you within the next
Somewhere.
week, most likely. Yeah,
Somewhere lurking around. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
But thanks to you as well. Awesome commentary. I've been watching all the coverage afterwards as well. It's been spot on. It's great.
Good.
Really enjoyable.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad I'm representing you guys properly as well, because that was my main concern, is obviously fitting it in the evenings. You need to have a lot of energy and that sort of thing, which you don't have at the end
It's
of
not
the day.
easy. It's
No.
not easy to talk for an entire race. For sure.
I mean,
and when the racing's not kind of nose to tail like perhaps
Like it was
the
tonight.
single class GT3 racing is,
yeah,
it can be, sometimes it can be very battle free, and
yes,
so it's not easy to talk about certain things for the best part of 90 minutes.
No.
For sure.
No, but we do it mostly, and if not, the soundtrack of the GT1s absolutely makes up for it.
For sure. Yeah.
Brilliant. Anyway, I'll catch you in a bit, mate. All right.
Yeah, man. Take it easy. Thank you.
You too. See you later.
Bye.
Okay. So my voice did last through all of that. So please leave a damn like for my voice standing up to all of that torture for what ended up being a couple of hours of absolutely fantastic racing, as always, as we get from the AOR guys. And as always, if you enjoyed this race, absolutely smack that like button. It helps the channel out and it helps AOR to get their name out there more. If you appreciate what we're doing here at Apex Online Racing, getting everybody into sim racing and getting people spending their money on really, really expensive sim rigs and enjoying themselves, hit that subscribe button and go and sign up over on the forums at apexonlineracing.com. Over there you will find a lovely bunch of people, super welcoming, and get yourself in one of these leagues, and maybe you'll end up talking to me in the commentary box after you have won your very first Apex Online Racing race. In the meantime, my name has been Eike Sky. My social links are down below if you want to follow me there. And in the meantime, I will leave you with the chatter of the local radio at the Laguna Seca circuit. And until next time, I will see you then. Good night.